mission to really promote awareness, education, and prevention around heat-related injuries. But not only heat-related injuries, actually all sports-related injuries. Because a lot of times what we do as parents, and then I started looking when Jordan was in that hospital for those 2 weeks fighting for his life, I started asking myself, what did I miss as a parent? What did I miss as a father? Or what did I miss as a parent as well? Because I, like everybody else, only ask 2 questions. Can he play and why isn't he playing? I just assumed that everything in the event, I never thought of the event of. So here we are 5 years later, and one of the main things what I started realizing was I kept saying that when I used to sit in these clinics like this, I would always do the same thing, everybody. Basically what I would do is I would literally just sit in the stands, and if a piece of safety equipment had fell out the sky and hit me in the head, I wouldn't have known what it was. Because I'm sure now, show of hands, anybody know what to do if your child got hurt right now? Thank you for your honesty. Because so many of us, I didn't know either. Literally, I just assumed. Where today, this is an opportunity for you to take away some educational information and some takeaways that you will look at sports totally different, especially your child's safety when it comes to these types of events, or who your child plays for, whether it's the high school, whether it's middle school, whether it's the AAU program. So we can all leave educated and we can take this information back. So one of the things that we like to focus on, I wrote a book called Can My Child Play? So what we're going to do after all of this is, because after all this is done, we take some of your time. I'm gifting everybody a copy of my book today, right? And I want this to be your educational tool in the event something, you can just you'll be more educated in regards to sports-related injuries. So the things that we really focused on is, I know for me, we got a lot of educated people or just subject matter experts that you'll talk today. Anybody know CPR by chance? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it. Okay. Now, when the last time you took your CPR class, brother?
6 months ago.
Got it. Last time you took yours?
A while ago.
So, compressions to breaths. My point exactly. We adults. And the reason I say that, because us as adults, we have what we call delayed retention. Unless it's in our face, I done forgotten. I know what it is, but again, we forget very easily. So one of the main things, anybody know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke? Okay. Anybody know what an emergency action plan is? Okay. Anybody? One person. Got it. In the event, I'll ask you all today. In the event something happened to your child right now, would you know what to do? And I want to kind of emphasize that question, because this is very important in the event of these types of things. We just always assume that the people who's running the event know what they're doing. Sometimes we do today, so you ain't got to worry about that. Anybody know what an athletic trainer is?
Yeah.
Tell me what an athletic trainer is, Doc.
Isn't he the one who, he or she, the ones there for emergency responses and stuff like that?
Correct.
Like a doctor.
Your medical professional on the field. Got it. We're going to learn to know something intimately today. All right? Cool. So today's purpose is we're going to talk about some questions you should be asking all organizations, all coaches, some safety things you should be looking at on the field. And what an athletic trainer is, who an athletic trainer is, and what an emergency action plan really looks like. So an EAP basically is the equivalent of a fire drill. We all been part of a fire drill. That's emergency action plan. However, when you walk on the field, every day the potential for a fire can happen every time you walk on the field. So we have somebody that's going to educate you on that as well. So main things that I like to focus on. Anybody know what questions they should be asking your coach or your organization that your child plays for? What would be a logical question to ask them when you register? Got it.
Are we going to have a trainer this year?
Thank you. Would you have an athletic trainer this year? That's a good question, right? A lot of times we don't ask the certain things. Y'all, coach, do you run punishment drills? Do you let kids get? Anybody know what it means to be acclimated to the atmosphere? See, because a lot of times we let our these coaches. Coaches are people too. Coaches are people too. Rest assured, they have good days, bad days. Most of them were former student athletes and somewhere along in their life. And rest assured, what work when they were playing definitely don't work with our kids, right? So we should be asking these questions. Are you CPR certified? Do you all have the right safety equipment? Anybody show hands? Anybody know what an AED machine is? All right, an automatic external defibrillator machine, right? Now, we have them on the field today, but in the event something happened, I don't know if there's any literally right in this space. Is there, Wes?
Yeah.
Probably inside. Got it. And I'm sure that door is locked if you probably locked that door. Right. And the thing is, the point that I'm making, family, is these things can happen that quick. And everybody will be standing around like, what am I supposed to do? And the main thing is, we all know, if you look at the DeMar Hamlin situation, show of hands, how many people saw the DeMar Hamlin situation, Monday Night Football? Unfortunately, it don't go that way in the real world. Ask me. I talked to 5 or 6 families that, in my network, that they had to relive their nightmare all over again. That's not the real world. That's the NFL. A lot of times in the real world, unfortunately, it just don't happen because people aren't prepared. So again, today you'll leave out a lot more educated than you were coming in. In your folder, you have 6 questions that you should be asking. Can somebody show me their folder, please? Let me see the folder. Thank you. You got a ton of good information in here. And in the family, I know this just seemed like a book of info, but what I like everybody to do, start posting this stuff, go over this stuff with your kids, right? Put this on your refrigerators, right? Make good decisions. It gets warm here quick. We've been luckily we rolling. We kind of, it's temperamental right now. But the main thing, and don't be afraid to make a executive decision. If it's hot and it's a cold break, don't let your child go out and practice. Guess what? If you're somewhere, and I'm in the community a lot, if you're dealing with a coach and he cursing and cutting all this stuff with your kid or disrespecting your child in a way that you don't, that may not be the team your school your son or Jordan needs to play for, right? So we basically have 6 safety tips in here. These are the questions you should be asking your coaches or whatever. Please read this information. We come up with so much stuff. We even got the 10 athletic program commandments, right? So basically, it really talks about don't do head contact. Don't be running on hot days. Parents, guess what? They ain't nobody going from there right there out on the field at that age to the NCAA. It's not happening. Rest assured, they ain't going from there to the pros right now. It's a long route to go. Take my word for it. None of these kids are getting recruited by colleges right now. Let them have fun. Keep them active. I tell people a funny story all the time. Jordan was 6'5", 300 plus pounds, a size 16 shoe. I thought he should have been eating gunpowder at 10 years old. I thought he should have been aggressive at 10 years old. When did he get it? At 15. When he was ready to get it. My job was just to keep him realistically active. That was my job. Keep him involved. Don't let him quit. And at the end of the day, he caught it. So whatever potential they have, I was just down on the field right now, just talking to coach. Everybody wants to go to the professional level, the NFL, the NBA, or whatever. Guess what? They can go. Let them go as an athletic trainer, and you can stay there longer. Let them go as an analyst. You can stay there longer. It don't always have to be the physical aspect of this. Sports is a tool. Or sports is a tool for education, right? If you got your kid can play good enough, and you ain't got to come out of pocket with money, you up. To be honest with you, I was in Cincinnati the other day, and I was at UC the other day, and one of the head athletic trainers introduced me to a guy. And this kid, he was a great graduate. He was a basketball player. And I told him, I said, my man, he told me he had his master's degree. I asked him, I said, how much you think that all your education, undergrad and grad, is worth? Undergrad and graduate. He was like, probably 180,000, 200,000. I'm like, you 200,000 in. But we don't look at it like that because it's not tangible. But that does have value because I'm sure his mama and daddy could have paid for that, for sure. So again, let's use sports for tools. And there's a ton of good information in your packet. Please post this stuff around the house. Go over it with your kids. Look, we just changed our logo up this year, family. We had Merlin 79. That was our old shirts. Kobe, keep on believing in yourself. That was because one of the things that I really emphasized or I thought about with Jordan, what didn't I teach him, right? I'd always taught Jordan, hey, self-advocate for yourself amongst your peers. Don't be afraid to fight. Don't do that around your peers. However, I never told him to be, if you felt uncomfortable around a coach or an adult, speak up. I always told him to be coachable. And look where coachable got us. Worst thing could ever happen to Jordan, he was just a good teammate. He didn't want to let his teammates down. But coachable versus advocating, so our Kobe stuff, I think it's in here, it should be, means keep on believing in yourself. That's a universal logo. Start these conversations of self-advocacy right now at this age. At this age. If you're a bad financial manager, where does it come from? It comes from home. If your common sense is kind of off, where does it come? It comes from home, right? Everything falls from what we learned at home because that's our foundation. That's why, it depends. It just depends. But the point that I'm making, family, is this. That's why we like this age group, because this is where we need to plant these seeds of self-advocacy. If your child, look, a lot of times at the AU level, collegiate level, high school, you always got more players than coaches. So the more educated that we are overall, the more educated your student athlete is or your child is, the safer that they'll be, right? Because again, we have way too many instances where kids just kind of do whatever coach say to their detriment, and then the whole team in the hospital from rhabdo, and it's like nobody had the mindset to be like, wait a minute, coach, I ain't doing this. And we can just teach them to do this in a respectful way.